Hey everybody, this is Andy Baker of Kingwood Strength and Conditioning and of bakerstrengthcoaching.com, and I just wanted to make a real quick impromptu video for some of my subscribers and for some of my online clients that I work with. I actually just got done with my workout, so I apologize if I'm a little sweaty and out of breath, again, this is something that's kind of fresh in my mind since I just got done with it, so I thought I would share it with all of you guys. And this is basically going to be a quick tutorial on the dead stop rack bench press. Okay. Now this is an exercise that you don't see a whole lot in use anymore, but it is a fantastic exercise for building power in the bench press. It's a little tricky to do, so that's part of the reason maybe it's not all that popular. It's kind of humbling. You can't use as much weight as you can on some other exercises, and it's hard to get set up for, and it can be a little dangerous, so I don't prescribe it for everybody. Typically, if somebody has a long history of a lot of soft tissue damage in the chest, especially in the upper pectoral, kind of pec delt tie-in area, this exercise, even when done correctly, is really stressful on that area of the body. So if you have a history of that, this may be one that you want to lay off of, or at least be careful with the weight and the volume that you use. But the reason that I like the dead stop rack bench press is a couple things. One, it really reinforces your setup on the bench press. You have to, if you're using a heavy weight on this exercise, and you're not set up correctly, it really won't budge at all. It'll just stick right there on the pins. And so you really have to get in the right position, and you really have to have, especially with your feet, you really have to drive with your feet, and you have to have the bar in the right spot, and you have to be very tight under the bar. Now, a dead stop rack bench press, I probably should have explained this first. You're starting with the weight here on the pins. Okay, so unlike almost every other bench press variant that you might do, you're not unracking the weight from the J-hooks inside of the rack or on a bench press unit. You're actually starting with it on the pins inside of a power rack, and you're starting the repetition from the bottom. Okay, so it's that's why it's so difficult to get into position for these, and you have to overcome a lot of inertia to get these things going. And so typically a heavy dead stop bench, it's going to be slow for the entire range of motion. Okay, and that's why I really like these, because they really also, not only do they teach you a great start position to get the weight moving and a great setup, but they really reinforce how to grind. And that is a technique that, that is a skill set. I always tell a lot of my trainees that learning how to grind is a skill in and of itself that a lot of people have to develop. That's why I'm such a big fan of heavy singles training for kind of early and mid-stage intermediates, because it starts to teach that skill set. It's not just strength. It's not just the strength of how to push through a heavy single, but how to know how to stay with a rep for several seconds and not quit on it, because that's what you'll see with a lot of people that first get into heavy singles training, is that they just, it's not that they're scared of the weight or anything like that, it's just that they just don't know what it means to really grind and lock out one of those really long reps. And with the dead stop rack bench, all your heavy sets are going to be slow grinding reps. So it builds a lot of power. Now, how do I like to use these? Typically for my heaviest work sets, I only do singles. So I do a really high volume of singles, because the benefit of this exercise is that you're not training a stretch reflex. Okay, again, like the bench press and almost every other type of bench press variation that there is, you're lowering the bar into position, and even with a pause, you have some built up stored energy in there that you can use to kind of rebound out of the hole with. And with this, you really don't. You're starting, you can build up tension, but you don't really have any stored energy in there. So to get the maximum value out of this exercise, you're gonna want to do as many from that dead stop position as possible. It's not the same thing on these, and I'm going to show you how to do rep work in a minute, but it's not the same thing to lower it, pause for a second, and go right back up. It's much harder to get under it and stop from a complete dead stop and push through. Okay, so I do a very high volume of singles. I just did, in my workout that I just got done with, I just did 10 singles between 95 and 100% of 1 RM. I established the 1 RM today, so basically what I did was I worked up to a max. I think I hit 355 today, and then on the way up I hit 335, 345, 355, and then I came back down 350, 345, 330, I don't know, it was a bunch of singles. I wound up doing 10 sets of singles, all between 335 and 355. And what you'll find is that these are very, very taxing on your central nervous system. So it's very hard to repeat weights on these. So if you have kind of a hard grinding out single, and it was reinforced to me today, you have kind of a hard grinding single at 355, I tried to get under there and do another one, and it wouldn't even budge. I had to go down to 350, and I barely locked that one out. I tried to repeat 350 a few minutes later, and it wouldn't even budge. So I had to keep going down and weight and basically do descending singles from 355 down to 335. And then I wound up at the end, I think, repeating 335 for 5 or 6 singles to get all my volume in. But usually, when I do these, I'll do about 10 singles. It's basically as heavy as I can go. And then once I was done with that, I did 3 back off sets to get a little bit of rep work in. And I did a double at 90%. I did a set of 4 at 85%, and I did a set of 6 at 80%. And those are all paused reps at the bottom. So I'm starting the first one from a dead stop. I'm lowering it down, and then I'm going to show you here in just a minute, I'm actually de-weighting the bar completely so that every single repetition, whether it's a set of 2 or 4 or 6 or 5 or whatever it is, every single repetition has the benefit of being done basically from a complete dead stop with no built-in stretch reflex, and that's how you get the main benefit of this. Now, like right now, I can feel a lot of strain up here, kind of in the soft tissue, and so what I'll usually do is I do a pretty high volume of these, so when I'm done, I typically don't do any heavy supplemental work afterwards. This will be kind of my main max effort movement plus my supplemental with the back off sets, and then I'll go do some higher rep stuff here in a minute. So I'll probably grab some dumbbells of moderate weight and just do some higher repetition stuff and just try to force a lot of blood into the area. Might finish off with some high rep dips. Something like that is good to pair with these, rather than going and trying to do heavy inclines or heavy close grips or something like that. Basically with these, I've done all of the straining that I want to do for the day. When to use these in your program, there's a couple different places. Now, if you guys read Practical Programming, you're familiar with the concept that you need to do some of these exercises, some of these supplemental exercises are very, very stressful, and they act as substitutes to the parent exercise rather than in addition to them. So typically what I will use these for is on whatever type of program you're using. These will be rotated in with your regular bench presses, like every other workout or every third workout, something like that. I typically don't do these every single heavy bench day. Again, it's just too stressful. This is something, it's kind of like rack pulls. It's almost better done on an every other week basis or every third week rather than an every week basis. And so if you're doing like the Texas Method type program, this would be these heavy singles across. These would be substituted in on your intensity day. Every other workout with your regular heavy and high intensity bench presses. If you were doing a heavy, light, medium program, this would be a heavy day exercise, not a light or a medium day. Too stressful for that. If you're doing like what I'm doing right now, where you're doing kind of a west side type split, where you have basically a high intensity max effort day, and you're rotating through different variations of a lot of heavy singles, and then later in the week you're doing a speed day or a dynamic effort day, this exercise can actually be used for either. I prefer it for a heavy max effort day, so this will pop up in my rotation every third, fourth, fifth time. So maybe once a month is when I will do these. Now I might do them again later in the rotation, but I might use a different grip. Like today I use pinkies on the rings. You can also narrow your grip. You could do a thumbs distance from the middle right here, or you could go like index finger on that line. So you can have 3 different grips, and those could all be part of a max effort rotation. But again, I would not do the dead stop, no matter what grip it is, more than probably every other workout. For speed work, These work really, really well to do like 20 to 25 singles, keeping the hands on the bar but de-weighting it, and going on like every 10 to 20 to 30 seconds. So you've got a light weight on there, bam, explode it up, lower it down, 10, 15 seconds, doing another one. And you do like, say, 20 to 25 of those, 60 to 70% of 1 RM, just trying to move the weight with maximal speed and acceleration. So that can work well for dynamic effort work as well for singles across. So anyways, hope that was helpful. I'm going to demonstrate a couple of reps here. The first one that I'm going to do is just how you would get set up for a single. I've got 225 on right now. Like I said, I'm already kind of smoked from the workout that I just did. I'm going to do a single, and then I'm going to pause it for a minute, and I'll just show you how to go into rep work and how I de-weight it between repetitions. So the hardest part is getting set up and getting tight. Okay, so get my grip here, make sure the bar is centered over you so that it's not shifted to one side or the other. That's a good way to really injure your shoulder or your pec, to have the weight kind of asymmetrically loaded. Shoulder blades are tight up underneath you. I roll the bar into place right over my sternum, right over the point of the breastbone, not up by the collarbone. Get nice and tight, feet are driven into the floor, there's no slack in the movement. Drive the weight up, I come down, okay? And then if I want to do rep work, okay, it's going to look like this. I'm just going to do a set of 5. So I relax, back, relax, and that's a dead stop rack bench press.